Marriage is a business. And
It is a business.
And
you're right. And when I left, I realized that I failed in that business transaction. Yeah, because he held most of the money.
See, there you go.
But I think that's like what we have confused as women is we're in it for love. But it's not about love. It's about what works long term in building family.
And I hear you. And I hear you. And I hear what you're saying. And for my beautiful daughters, I did stay a lot longer than I should have. A lot longer. Yeah. But when they got to a certain age and maturity, and I realized that this was actually affecting them, because I didn't want, what I realized is I thought was acceptable because I'd seen my parents do similar things. So I thought that was acceptable. I'd never seen a nurturing relationship.
I'm not sure. You don't have to say what wasn't acceptable.
Any sort of abuse. Yeah. It's not acceptable. So I didn't want my daughters to then. I think sometimes we rerun our parents' relationships.
No, I said no because you're not allowed to say that word.
Oh, you're not. Okay, yeah. So I just felt like I thought it was acceptable because I grew up seeing it. So therefore, I didn't want them to think that was acceptable or that was how relationships were supposed to be. So I decided not to do it. And when you said to me, 18 years, you should have stayed. No way. I believe in if it's unhappy, it affects your kids worse.
In the case of abuse, I would agree with you. Yeah, in abuse. But I think that's more of the exception rather than the rule. Because women leave 70 to 80% of the time, 90% if we're college educated. And one of the number one predictors of if you're going to get a divorce is if you out-earn your husband.
Do you think that's because of the women or because of the men?
I think it's because women are hypergamous, and it's hard for a woman to be attracted to a guy she makes more than.
Really? Because in my personal circumstances, the issue I've always had is a man not being secure enough to accept the fact that I've done better than them.
I think the problem
you
usually
think you've done better than them,
yeah, that's the problem is like women, and it kind of shows in the way you talk respectfully.
Not
like it
better
sounds
than
like you,
them.
like it sounds like you're acting like you're better than them.
No, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, but I'm saying a lot of like women unintentionally act like they're better than the guy, and then it makes him insecure.
But
so
the way you look is like. For me personally, obviously everyone's different, but for me personally, when I'm looking for a guy, I care about if what they're doing, they have passion for what they're doing, they have drive for what they're doing, regardless of how they are financially. Because when you're with somebody, you're a couple, right? You're a team in that. So it doesn't matter who the higher earner is. It matters if they can provide you with that emotional support and that stability.
Well, and I think that sounds nice, but that's just not what women pick. And I think when we say things like that, it's dishonest.
But it's
because
not, because that is what happens.
No, because women, when you survey women where they're not in front of on camera with mics in their faces, they say they want a guy that makes at least 30% more than them. They say this is from the horse's mouth.
Okay, as the horse, I've never dated a guy that's kind of earned more than I have.
Well, I mean, you also aren't married though, so you didn't stay with one.
They left me.
But I think it even kind of aligns with my experience. So Nigerian background, the last generation of Nigerians were very pioneers. They did very, very well. Goldman Sachs and all the women, especially the women who did really well, are found it extremely hard to settle down because of that reason. They all said, I need someone who's on better than me, who's earns more than me. And these women were top lawyers. They were killing it. And there were all these guys, they had all the options, they had the looks, they had all the physical assets that men liked, and they struggled for decades in some cases. And I think some of them still aren't married now because, Nigerians are very vocal. So you go into family, reunions and weddings, and they weren't shy of saying, if you don't earn, if you can't compete with me earnings-wise, I've got a twin sister. And, even then, you kind of hear those kind of sentiments. Or this idea that if you settle for someone who doesn't earn as much or isn't as successful as you are, that you're settling. And this could be a 6'4" muscle-bound, uni-educated.
Well, women always. I mean, why do we know the phrase? We know this phrase when I say, "Oh, I want a man on my level." Women say that all the time. You don't hear men saying, "Oh, I want a woman on my level."
But do you think that's because
I think it's because women are hypergamous and men aren't. Women want a guy that they can look up to. I don't think it's a bad thing.
That's okay.
I think it's okay. Go
I
ahead.
actually agree with
Yeah.
that phrase. I want a guy on my
Look
level,
up to.
but that doesn't come down to a monetary value.
Alone. Money,
Not
muscles, frame, and
really.
game.
Really?
Six, six,
do you
six.
not
Money,
think that
muscles,
sounds
frame, and game.
very kind of shallow in terms of the way you look at things? Like, I think it depends on what you need as a person because your circumstances, your upbringing, your life is going to determine what you need from someone else.
You're right. There's individual differences, but when you survey women and ask them, like from the horse's mouth at large, what they want in a guy, it's money, muscles, frame, game.
What do you mean by frame? Sorry.
Frame is like masculinity,
Masculine,
basically.
like muscles.
And I will say, when you
like
said
muscles.
it's also what you need personally from a woman,
I was going to point onto that.
I've we've all been there where like you meet someone at a time where they need a certain kind of guy. Maybe she's been dumped by some player and she needs a nice guy for a bit. But after those needs have been met, it's money, frames, and games, baby.
I wasn't going to get onto that point. I was going to say, why is it about what you need? Like, I don't think a man goes into a relationship saying, what do I need from a woman? It's like, no, like, what can I provide for her? Yeah. What can our family do together? I promise you, I'm not like, what if a man says he wants something from you, you would think he's a weirdo. You'd be like, rah, he's like,
Well, no, it's
like, why does he want something from me? Like, no, you tell your brethren, if you say, for example, you got a friend where the guy she's constantly paying for, or she's constantly doing the things that you would typically consider a man doing, yeah? You would tell her, you'd be like, later, why are you with that guy? Like, he's trying to take advantage of you. Yeah, you see, there we go. So
I've heard that being said.
Right, so that's what I'm talking about when I say in terms of what you need from him.
But I think I don't know if it's with age, but money genuinely doesn't come into it for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I will sit here and I'll be honest. If I met two guys,
exact same guy,
and one said, exact same guy, and one said, do you want to go out on Monday? I'm going to pick you up. And the other one said, do you want to go out on Monday? Yeah, we'll check train times and I'll meet you there. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I probably will go for the one that's going to pick me up.
Right. Yeah. And what if I told you the train guy has 35 million in his bank account? The reason why wait. And the reason why he's not taking car and dropping you is because it's in the garage. Would you still go with the guy that's picking you up in the car?
Yeah. No, I don't know that. I'm confused. Now you've confused me. Stop it.
I'm not confused. You confuse yourself.
Everyone.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want.
No, I'm not confused.
I think a man just needs to be able to look after himself.
Yeah, I just feel like you've kind of got your stuff to.
But the point is, if there's guy A and guy B, and one has money and one doesn't.
Yeah.
You're telling me you wouldn't pick the guy with money?
If they're exactly the same.
The same.
Yeah, you probably would. Yeah.
I mean,
if they're
that's
exactly
not really a
the same.
good comparison. If they're exactly the same, but just one has money. Of course,
You're obviously going to pick the one with the money.
Pick the one with money because then you're not going to put your stuff
But
onto
the point
me.
is that plays into it, where men don't care.
Exactly.
Men don't care all about a woman's money. Like, and a lot of times girls will come out and they'll say, oh, I have my own bag, and like think that's attractive to a guy. But it's only attractive to broke men.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but if you have the
damn straight.
If you have the exact same comparison though, and you say to a guy, okay, here's women A and women B who are exactly the same, and the only thing, how would you pick between the two then?
Yeah,
But with money?
how would you?
It wouldn't be money that
differentiator?
comes down to.
So what would it be?
But for us, you're assuming it's a
Actually,
monetary
he's
value.
actually-
No. I know it is.
Ish, can you answer this question?
Okay, so just rephrase the question for me.
So, girl A, girl B, one has money, one doesn't. One makes $500K a year, one makes 45.
But they're exactly the
And
same.
they're exactly
every
the
other way,
same.
yeah.
Money won't. I won't care about money, and the reason why I won't care about money is purely because I'm gonna judge them. Like, let's say girl A, they're exactly the same, but girl A is like hella disrespectful. She doesn't understand what I as a man need, and then girl B, exactly the same, understands what a man needs, is submissive in certain ways that shows me respect and loyalty, which is what I value. I'm picking girl B.
We didn't
so
give it.
can-
We
can
didn't
I
get
just
given
we're
those
saying,
options.
we're saying they're exactly.
So then, being exactly the same, money doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Can I actually
more-
pick
who's
up
more
on
close
that?
I'd probably flip a coin.
Flip a coin and close
But
my eyes.
you said, as a minute ago, you said they don't understand what I need. Now, when I said looking at what you need from a man,
Yeah.
you picked up on that and said, why does it matter what the woman needs? And assumed it was a monetary value thing, where I was talking about emotionally and mentally. But when you've said that, nobody said anything.
That's not what I'm talking about. He's talking
he's a
about in
man.
terms the man's needs, in terms of a man's needs. I could fulfill my own needs. When you're coming into a relationship, you're probably coming with university debt. You're probably coming with problems from your ex-relationship. You're probably coming with like past
I'm
issues.
talking about emotional needs.
You're
and mental
holding a
needs,
lot
which
of feelings,
everyone
boy, for
has.
women.
Right.
Wait,
hold on.
Guys, one at a time. So here's the difference. Emotional needs, you will seek a man to help you with that. Whereas I, as a man, if I've got emotional needs, I will not come to you with those emotional needs. And the reason being is that you as a woman will not understand the struggle that as a man that I go through on a daily basis. So it's very difficult for you to comprehend and give me advice on how to deal with my emotional problems. I, as a man, will probably be best off going to seek advice from other males that I could call friends, maybe counselors in that kind of realm, in order to get advice on how to go about my emotional problems.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
find
think
that
women could do the same,
interesting,
though?
but
I think women, Pearl says it best, women are chemically different on a day-to-day
Every day.
basis. And so the idea that I could say, all right, guys, I'm going through these problems, you may see it from a woman's perspective and you'll go, oh, well, you can do this, this, and this. As a man, if I take that advice, I do those things, I will find the results are not suitable or what I'm looking for. Because you as a woman, women tend to be mollycoddled in today's society. Men, if you do something, you will know about it. Society will tell you that this can't run and you can't do that.
Can I just
Women
say
get
one-
away with everything.
If I just
Literally.
want to say one thing.
Shout out to
Really?
Big
Yeah,
Woman.
anytime a guy has a standard, they're shamed for it.
Yeah.
But you
Every
started
single-
off this conversation by saying, don't you think women have too high standards?
They do.
But I just
But
That's
want
why
that contradicts
50%.
what
That's
you
why
just said.
50% of women are single and childless.
to.
But that contradicts exactly what you
How
just
does
said.
it contradict exactly what I said?
Because you just said if men have a standard, they're
They're shamed for it. Yeah, I'll give you an example. What happened with the slut shaming? Slut shaming, fat phobic. Where's the equivalent of that for men? They don't exist.
If anything, if I meet anyone and they ever say anything to me and I need a statistic and it's about women and men, I'm phoning Pearl. Pearl has a statistic on everything.
No. Okay,
Literally, it's
you're
amazing.
allowed to have standards as a woman. What we're talking about is too high of a standard, where it only encompasses 20% of men. That standard. If you broaden your standard to include, like, let's say 50%, you would have a higher chance of being in a relationship. Correct? Because you have more
Probably,
people.
yeah.
So
'Cause
that's what we're
you're
talking
more
about.
willing to-
The reason why a lot of you are single is because your standards are too high. Men's standards are not the same. Like the same with the two girls with the money. It doesn't matter for me what she has. More likely, I'll take the one with the less because the one with more is going to come with complications. She's going to be like, I'm the boss of this stuff. I have the most money. You can't tell me nothing. I'm like, yo, I don't need the stress.
I find it really interesting that you say that, because speaking to all of the women that I know who are currently single, the issues that we always have are you go on dates, you put yourself into somebody, you invest your time, and they all seem to have commitment issues. So that's why
Because
we're
you're
not in
dating the
relationships.
20%.
Why?
I promise you, the bottom 80% of guys,
Where are they?
They have no commitment issues. None.
No, wait, the
They're
man has commitment.
they're less attractive.
The man has commitment issues.
Yeah.
In my experience, and
But that's what I'm
most women
saying
that
to you,
I've spoken
because
to.
he's not going to tell you, listen, darling, this is your problem, this is a B problem, this is C problem, this is D problem. I'm just going to cut, or I'm going to stay there and not take you seriously. If he's not committing to you, it's because it's something you're not doing or you're not fulfilling for him in terms of what
So
he
it's
wants in a
purely
woman.
the woman's fault if a man's not committed.
If
Okay,
you're
if,
not...
if a girl is asking for, let's say, her asking price is this much, and she says, this is the product, this is what I'm selling, can someone buy it? And nobody buys, something's wrong with the product.
Good to know.
Or the price.
Or the price.
Or the
The
price,
price.
yeah. Or the price.
Or the buyer.
This is just so difficult.
You're basically saying there's no issue with the
all the
fact
women's
that it's so easily accessible to move on to the next person with having social media, with having dating apps now, that hasn't caused an issue in terms of individuals now committing to relationships.
What does social media have to do with the conversation?
So I find that social media has a major thing to do with the conversation in terms of dating, because expectations are set so high